Good afternoon. Time now for Midday News. Let's look at the headlines. President Hakainde Hichilema urged to fire incompetent public official for misleading him. Zambia's external debt has increased by 5.9 billion kwacha. Community schools in MUNALI constituency grapple with the shortage of desks. In international news, 750 die from cholera outbreak in Malawi. Manchester City player Benjamin Mendy found not guilty of 6 counts of rape. We have the details shortly.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Cholera from Cho's Fitness Gym. We're a fully functional gym located along Twin Palm Road in Kablonga, right by Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia. So we have various classes that happen from Monday to Friday. We have aerobics, we have boot camp, we have step aerobics, we have spinning, we have kettlebell classes. They happen from 18 to 19 hours every day, and we are open from 06 until 20 hours. That's Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays 6 to 12, and then Sundays we are closed, and most public holidays we are open 6 to 12.
Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Louisia Nalupumbwe. Pupils at Chainda Community School in Lusaka's Munali constituency have to sit on the floor in order to access lessons due to limited desks, thus compromising the quality of education. The Young Men Christian Association YMCA has observed that government alone cannot address the problem of desks, but with the support of cooperating partners. YMCA National General Secretary Esther Zulu made the remarks when the organization, with the help of some cooperating partners, donated 96 desks and 100 chairs to help cushion the problem of desks.
Since the introduction of free education by President Hakainde Hichilema's administration, where most schools across the country have been overwhelmed with learners, the problem of limited classrooms and desks is dominating the list of needs, and certainly Chainda Open Community School is no exception, as most classrooms, especially in the lower grades, have to accommodate more than 70 pupils. Less privileged children, or in a quest to access education with the hope of growing up into responsible citizens, have to sit on the cold floor during lessons. Learners uncomfortably drawing the coat of arms during a social studies lecture is a testimony of the struggles they have to go through during the writing process. The Young Men Christian Association YMCA, with the help of cooperating partners, donated 96 desks and 100 chairs to help cushion the problem. YMCA General Secretary Esther Zulu notes that stakeholders' cooperation is key in steering quality education in the country.
My humble request and appeal is that let them come on board, because really I wish more of those people can actually come here physically so that they witness the situation, for them to see firsthand what is really happening. It's a sad situation, so we have done a case for support just to invite all well-wishers to come on board and partner with this school. For education in Zambia to improve, it's not just the policy of free education, but we need actually other CSOs, other well-wishers to come on board so that we make that dream a reality for the vulnerable children of Zambia.
Meanwhile, Chainda Ward 33 Councillor Patrick Mpundu says the contribution of desks will go a long way in addressing the deficit.
We have over 1,500 students at the facility right now at this particular institute, and against 150 desks that they had. So I think bringing in the 100 desks and obviously the 100 chairs as well is a massive, massive development. We're also looking to continually add to that. The CDF committee has approved the procurement of about 300 desks for Chainda community, and we're hoping to bring about 100 desks here. And I think people of Chainda, Avonde and Ibex should be very, very excited. I think this is a big step in just obviously helping to ease the burden of the free education policy that has come into play. I think the enrollment numbers are increasing every single year, and I think now students will have a better quality education because of a better and much more improved learning environment.
Minister of Education, Lusaka District Education Standards Officer Nathan Kasonde expressed gratitude for the gesture.
And as a district, we are very happy to receive 100 desks and 98 chairs from our partners YMCA and the PKF. As we are aware that the government collaborates with different partners because on their own the load is heavy. Government has a lot of issues and the schools are expanding due to heavy enrollments which have come due to the free education that the president pronounced since he came into power. And so we are quite happy and we hope this collaboration continues so that it can also be extended, it can be extended to other schools.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Citizens' First Party president has urged President Hakainde Hichilema to consider relieving some public officials for incompetent and misleading the head of state on various national matters such as load shedding. Addressing the media Friday, Citizens' First Party President Harry Kalaba notes that the office of the president has been tarnished as he was fed with false information that there will be no load shedding, stating that it is surprising that the people who mislead the president remain in office. He has therefore called on the head of state to fire ZESCO Managing Director Victor Mapani. Mr. Kalaba has also recommended the firing of a Minister of Health, Sylvia Masewo, for the lack of drugs in hospitals, and Minister of Agriculture, Ruben Piri, for the chaotic 2022-2023 Farming Input Support Program FISIP distribution.
The recent admission by the ZESCO board chairman that they misled the president has further shown the extent of the problem. Never in my living years have I seen an individual admit that they misled the head of state and remain in their position. Despite his taking on of the blame, we know that the chairman is far removed from the day-to-day operations of ZESCO. Which begs the question, was he too misled by the management of ZESCO? It is shocking that given the embarrassment that has befallen the president following his numerous comments, first on how he would end load shedding prior to being elected, and second, that he had ended it within 8 months of being in office, so many of the people who told him it was over remain in office. The list of people who could have misled the president is endless. The Minister of Energy, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Energy, his advisors at State House, and the entire ZESCO senior management, who are still in their positions. When one looks back regarding ZESCO, it seems the president has been misled for a long time.
Zambia's stock of external debt has risen by 5.9 billion kwacha from 13.36 billion United States dollars last year to 13.04 billion United States dollars as at the end of December 2021. Finance and National Planning Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane has attributed the rise to loans which were borrowed for projects inherited from the previous administration. Dr. Msokotwane says his administration could not have cancelled the project because some were at an advanced stage while others are significant to the country, which if cancelled could have led to Zambia losing more resources. The minister was speaking at a town hall forum on economic performance and budget execution in Lusaka. And the finance minister says part of the agreement that Zambia and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, made was that Zambia needed to borrow conventional resources from the IMF. Details are in this report.
Several stakeholders and key industry players, including the media, Friday morning convened at the Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka for the Town Hall Forum on the 2022 Economic Performance and Budget Execution. Minister of Finance and National Planning Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane gave a presentation at the meeting and has since revealed that the stock of the country's debt has risen by 320 million United States dollars, which is equivalent to 5.9 billion kwacha since the United Party for National Development UPND administration took over office, and has further justified why this has been the case.
There were some projects that were being financed by financing or by borrowing. These projects were there even when this government came into office. Some of them were at advanced stage, or some of them it was felt that if we were to stop those loans continuing and therefore the project being abandoned, there was more to lose than continuing to borrow a little bit more so that such projects are completed, because some of them are necessary.
The minister has also indicated that though the cost of living is increasing under the current administration, prices of items were already high when the UPND administration got into office, which was seen through high inflation rate, which the government is working hard to cushion.
The cost of items is high, but please remember this. The cost of most items were already high when this government got into office. They were already high. And at the time, in spite of being high, they were continuing to rise even faster. That's what faster, or this is what higher inflation meant. The higher inflation that we found at 23%.
The minister also touched on the issue of Mopani copper mines.
The reason why those two mines today are where they are, non-performing, is because of poor decisions that were made, hasty decisions in an unfriendly environment. That's why those two mines ended up where they are today. So in reviving them, we want to make sure that the mistakes of hastiness, the mistakes of choosing the wrong investor who comes in and just gives you headaches, we want to make sure that those mistakes are not being repeated.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In our international news, the cholera outbreak in Malawi, the worst in 2 decades, has reached a grim mark of 750 deaths. According to Malawi's health minister, cases continue to rise across the country despite some encouraging signs in some areas. Now, the cholera outbreak was declared in March last year. So far, the authorities recorded almost 23,000 cases. For these and other stories, here's a roundup of international news and beyond the borders.
The cholera outbreak in Malawi, the worst in 2 decades, has reached the grim mark of 750 deaths. According to the Malawi health minister, cases continue to rise across the country, despite some encouraging signs in some areas. We continue to record a rising number of cases across the country despite signs of reduced transmission and deaths in a few areas. We would like to commend those that are availing themselves for treatment. The cholera outbreak was declared in March last year. So far, the authorities recorded almost 23,000 cases.
tinakambira kuti anabwera 2.9 million doses.
We received 2.9 million dosages of the cholera vaccine, but as we speak, we have about 40,000 left. It means Malawians avail themselves for the vaccine. What is worrying, however, is that those that receive the vaccine are not the ones at high risk. Those that are in high risk are proving difficult to convince to take the vaccine. According to Africa's CDC, the continent's largest public health body, 14 African countries are reporting cholera cases, many of which are due to flooding across the continent.
Demonstrators march on the streets of the capital, carrying the photos of the dead and banners portraying President Dina Boluarte as a murderer. Thousands of people in Lima and southern Peru blame her for the killings. Most of the victims were young, poor, indigenous, gunned down in confrontations with the army and police who used live ammunition to disperse crowds of anti-government protesters.
I'm upset, angry, traumatized and shocked by what's happening here. I believe that people are going to force Dina Boluarte and Congress out.
The worst violence in Peru in 2 decades has also prompted the governors of 3 southern regions, where most of the protesters were killed, to urge the president to resign. They say it's the only way to start resolving the spiraling unrest. Gisela Ortiz lost a brother in a massacre. When Alberto Fujimori was in power, she says the current government must go.
I think that a government that has presided over so many deaths is unsustainable. We are all in favor of democracy, but it does not make sense if they don't respect the lives of the people.
But Prime Minister Alberto Otárola says Boluarte is in control and stepping down is out of the question.
I want to say it very clearly. The president is not going to resign. That will not happen. Because leaving the presidency would be to open a very dangerous door to anarchy and misgovernment, and that will not happen.
In Puno, in the south, families of the 17 people killed by security forces in Juliaca earlier this week held a funeral procession accompanied by thousands of mourners.
Dina, you killed my husband. Why? I hate you, Dina.
From above, the scale of the destruction in Soledar is clear, and so is the danger. Smoke billows above buildings as a Ukrainian armoured vehicle weaves through what's left of the eastern Ukrainian town on a mission to evacuate injured servicemen. Ukrainian military officials say the situation in Soledar is critical, but that their soldiers are holding on.
The situation is difficult but stable. We are holding back the enemy. Nobody leaves their positions. We are fighting back.
Some Ukrainians fighting in Soledar say they need more ammunition and backup. Ukraine's president says that they'll get everything that they need.
We have analysed in detail the decisions needed, the reinforcements needed, and the steps to be taken by commanders in the coming days. We have also discussed the situation with the supply of weapons and ammunition to the troops.
For months, Soledar has been the scene of relentless and intense fighting. But Russia's defense ministry now says its forces have taken Soledar.
On the evening of January 12th, the liberation of the city of Soledar was complete, which is important for the continuation of successful offensive operations in the Donetsk region.
Earlier, Russian mercenary group Wagner posted a video online saying that its fighters were already in town. Russia has focused on taking Soledar as part of a push to capture the entire eastern Ukrainian Donbass region, but it has come at a very high price. Russian and Ukrainian losses have been high. For civilians, the situation has been devastating. Most people have fled Soledar, but more than 500 people remain, including children. Ukrainian forces are racing to try to evacuate them while there's still time.
That's all in international news. Time now for sports. Manchester City footballer Benjamin Mendy has been found not guilty of 6 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault against 4 young women. The jury failed to reach verdicts on 1 count of rape and 1 of attempted rape, and a trial will take place. Louis Sahar Moturi, 41, was also found not guilty of 3 counts of rape against 2 teenagers. Jurors at Chester Crown Court could not reach verdicts on 6 other counts by 5 other women. Mr. Mendy, 28, and his friend Mr. Maturi had been accused of raping women at the players' home in Prestbury, Cheshire, and at Manchester Flats. On that note, we come to the end of the news at 12, but before we go, the headlines once again. President Hakainde Hichilema urged to fire incompetent public official for misleading him. Zambia's external debt has increased by 5.9 billion kwacha. Community schools in MUNALI constituency grapple with the shortage of desks. 750 died from a cholera outbreak in Malawi. Manchester City player Benjamin Mendy found not guilty of 6 counts of rape. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. Good afternoon.